about the human. So we are fighting against other species, and we might sacrifice ourselves in the behalf of the whole species. But of course, this kind of altruistic individual, its genes won't go to the next generation because it will die. So the more selfish ones will succeed. So, well, that's one point.
So you mean us versus which other species are we competing with that way?
Well, competing with other species, like wolves, for example. But its evolutionary sense, that doesn't make any sense. That we would be competing as a species. We're competing as a genes. That's the entity of the one. I can try to explain it like later. Okay. Is there anything else? Well, let's go forward. So, well, there is the definition of altruism. So basically, it's one entity said to be altruistic if it behaves in such a way as to increase another such entity's welfare at the expense of its own. So basically, even the genes are altruistic in the nature. There are a lot of genes are selfless. There are altruistic animals. For example, worker bees, which will sting the attacker, and it will sacrifice itself for the welfare of the community. But that's explained in the Dawkins book. Basically, it doesn't make babies the individual, and for example, the being queen, so it makes identical sisters, for example. So then it makes more sense to protect the sisters, for example. Well, let's not go too detail in that. And then birds giving alarm call about predator, and parents protecting their children. So there are altruistic behavior in the nature. That's what I wanted to say with this. Okay, again. Go forward. Yeah. So what do you think? The question is, are human rights against the human biology?
I guess it is.
You think it is?
Why? Let's, this is quite a difficult question actually, and there is no specific answer to it. But, let's assume this story of that movie 2012, I guess, or Keanu Reeves is playing that game. No. I don't know, some movie that they built arcs and the Earth was going to be destroyed by... Yeah, I guess that's it. The movie is about this story that the Earth is going to be destroyed by some astronomical event, and then the great powers like USA, China, and Russia, and everything, they decide to build some arcs. These arcs are designed so that when the Earth is hit by those rays of whatever, there's going to be blood, water, and it's like this the story of Moses.
No.
We are talking of 2012?
Yes, exactly. I know. Did everyone get the theme of this movie? They built some
End
arc.
of the world.
Not the end of the world. When this event happens, the earth is covered with water. Okay?
So it means it ends of the world.
What?
It means the end of the world.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Then these the most powerful countries decide to make these arcs, which are in fact some great ships, very large ships, and then they pick the best images. And in the story, it is very evident that it's very clear that they decide to pick the most talented people because, for example, only a very small population of human race is going to exist after that. So they try to pick scientists, great lawyers, politicians, great minds, and when we are yes, it's true. They have to do it because if they don't, you know,
Yeah, it's very very good point. So are they gonna think about the survival of some or death of everybody?
yeah,
And when we consider everybody are deserving the same rights, not just a few small group, so that's a difficult place actually. So then we can think about do we really value their human rights or not? It's a decision point there.
actually this is imaginary story.
Yeah, but maybe it happens in the future.
Nice.
Who knows?
2012.
Yeah.
Yeah,
1 year.
It's on the way
Yeah, a few months. Yeah. Well, hey. So what I would like to say about that is a group of people. It's different than an individual human. So biological behavior doesn't define the behavior of the group. So there's a thing called meme, and it's basically meme is like a gene, but it's going in the human societies. It's an idea. It can be, for example, religion. Let's say Christianity is a meme, and it's competing with other memes, like other religions. So the idea is acting like a gene and it's trying to get numerals in the gene pool of religions, for example. So it's trying to expand. And in that level, we can think about, for example, a country can be a me, Finland. And we are trying to get as much power to the Finland as possible, for example, and promote the welfare of every single person in the Finland. So then we go to a certain direction and we have a rules and they will evolve. And maybe the evolution of the rules, it's natural to go to the direction of human rights for all the citizens in Finland. For example, in order to make that specific meme to survive well. Are you following? Okay, cool. So maybe human rights are natural for the groups, but not natural for the individuals. And yeah, so if we want the whole world to survive, maybe we should think ourselves as a one single entity, maybe promote the human rights there. But yeah, let's go forward. So now there is a clip. Can you put the wire in the computer? Yeah, good. Can you put voice up?
I'll do it.
Okay, and this is about the nature part. Okay.
Life, a miracle in the universe, appeared around 4 billion years ago. And we humans, only 200,000 years ago. Yet we have succeeded in disrupting the balance that is so essential to life. In 50 years, in a single lifetime, the Earth has been more radically changed than by all previous generations of humanity. We know that the solutions are there today. We all have the power to change. So what are we waiting for?
You can go. Okay, so that was a clip from a movie called Home, and in the home there is shot very beautiful landscape of the whole world, and there has been explained a little bit about the state of the world, like what's happening around the world, what kind of destruction is where, or what kind of innovations are where, and it's a very interesting movie, and you can all see it free on YouTube. Just type home. So you can. It's like I don't know, 1 hour and 20 minutes or something. It's good clip. And about the environment, I will try to go this part in 5 minutes. So I have an example from Jared Diamond's book, Collapse: How Societies Decide to Succeed or Fail. So Jared Diamond is an American guy, biology professor, Pulitzer Prize winner in literature. I think he's one of the most brilliant guys I know, because I have read few of his books. And in these books he describes the past societies, so how those have collapsed and how those have survived and succeeded. And it's a very interesting book. And I want to give one example. It's Easter Island. And Easter Island is kind of an example of failed society where the people have destroyed the whole ecosystem there. So there is not growing much trees. Most of the birds have been died, or animals, and the resources in the water around it, in that, like fishes. So, and it was good before human came there, and it was good for them many hundred years. You can go for. So this is the one distinctive feature. They made this kind of statues, and there was 11 tribes in the peak time, and the tribes were competing against each other by, it was peaceful competition. They didn't fight at that point, but they tried to make more beautiful statue, and the leader of the group was deciding that, okay, let's use our resources to build this statue. Yeah. And this is about a little bit about the map. So it's not big, it's like 5 kilometers. So you see it's maybe 20 kilometers wide. But it's a very small island. You can go forward. Yeah, so around 900 there came people. The peak was 15,000 people. There gone maybe 100 or 200 people, so they multiplied a lot. And they lived many hundred years very comfortably. And then there was a lot of birds. And what interesting thing was that they were, for example, eating dolphins there. So they had giant palms. They could make nice canoes, and they could sail and kill dolphins which were living in deeper water. And of course, a lot of different kind of bones have been found from the dumpsters of that time. There's a lot of layers, so scientists can define quite specifically what people ate at what time. And the dolphin bones, for example, start vanishing at some point because they cut all the trees. They couldn't make the canoes. They couldn't go hunting there. It's quite interesting. So more and more population started to come there, and they started to cut the trees. They made gardens, fields for the food. They were hunting birds and other animals. And then when they were cutting too much trees, so it led to erosion. So the rain and wind was taking the fertile land away, and there was no more food growing when they cut the trees. So it reduced the rains and so on, and it became hunger. And then the religious leaders, they were just competing against each other, so they didn't really care about the environment at that point. So what happened was that military leaders took the people and fought against these religious leaders. Hey, what are you doing?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so then there were civil wars came, and a lot of wars, a lot of poverty, misery, and they ended eating each other, so